I really don't understand. I didn't even realize this, why they didn't take this old receiver out. It's flange mount. It's got 4 screws holding it in. Seems kind of silly why they wouldn't have taken it out in the first place, the previous people.
This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
The customer's complaint today is that their walk-in cooler is not working. This is their walk-in cooler, so I turned the system on and I noticed the side glass is flashing very violently. And I haven't put gauges on it yet, but I just peeked back here and there is oil all back here. The whole line is covered in oil. So we know we have refrigerant leaks. Yeah, this thing's a mess. This looks like we're gonna need to fix this. I'm not gonna fix it today, so what we're gonna do is, if I can, I'm gonna try to get away with just putting gas in it for the night, because it's towards the end of the day, and I have a live stream to do, so let's see though, but we gotta make sure I'll, in any moment, cancel the live stream. Oh, that scared me, there was a spider web. I'll cancel the live stream if I have to, but I just need to make sure it's not gonna leak out. It looks like the leak might be down here. Pretty wet right around that head pressure control valve. DTC valve's working on that freezer compressor. Yeah, it's really wet down in here, up in there, so I think I can get away with putting gas in this guy. Okay, also in order to shut this rack down, I had to turn off their ice machines because they're piped into here. So you always got to be careful turning racks off. What do they control? What's the repercussion? So I shut those down and then shut down all the other equipment. That way I can get in here. It's kind of a pain. I've never worked on this walk-in cooler. So we're going to probably need to do some cleanup. Get it all fixed. Looks like the vibration absorber might be leaking too. There's a lot of oil there. So we'll probably have that in our quote. Put a new vibration absorber and then do a repipe and clean all that crap up. Again, where I'm at right now, we actually don't even need head pressure control valves. So I might even just take that out of the picture. I mean, I don't mind having them, but we don't really need them per se out here. On ice machines you do, but yeah, that's another compressor. Okay, I'm just kind of looking at everything else in here. This one, if you guys recognize, I did a late night walk-in freezer. It took me like all night. I left at like 3 or 4 in the morning. This is a video like 6-8 months ago, something like that. Just trying to identify this leak, and I get down here to see how wet that oil is, and oh look, nothing's even secured. No wonder it's got a leak. Nothing's secured at all. That receiver's just sitting there, and all these lines are just sitting there. Nothing. Alright, looks fun. Okay, we cleared the sight glass up. It took about 4 pounds, and then I added an extra 2 pounds as a guesstimate for the head pressure control valve. I don't think it's going to bypass right now because we're in the middle of summer anyways, but I added the gas just so that I wouldn't have an emergency call in the middle of the night. We're going to come back, but I want to do a quick leak check and see if we can figure out where this guy is leaking at. Definitely something right there. And then let me twist back this way. You know, it looks really bad back here. I'm not picking anything up. Literally picking it up right here. Okay, let's go down here. Also, I walked into the evaporators, or the box itself, the walk-in. The evaporators are filthy, so I want to do a leak check down there too. I'm gonna get some bubbles on that guy down there. Get some big blue right here. I go on the stream setting, like that, and let's get it down there and see. Okay, looks like we got a little hairline crack right there. Big blue's picking up. It's a little guy. I think that I'm gonna be okay because they want me to quote this too, if possible. I mean, I have approval if it's an emergency, but. I think we'll be okay. All right, we got an idea there. But see, I'm not just gonna quote fixing that because this whole thing's a mess. I have a bracket to set that receiver on to bolt it down properly, and then we'll repipe this because they've got pipes rubbing against crap. It's a mess. And then we'll change that vibration eliminator, but we got to clean the evaporators first, see if we got any other issues down there. So this guy's actually leaking right here too, right on this packing. And I tried grabbing it with I can't think of the, whatever you want to call it, the thing that has two forks and you twist it, like a clip retainer screw thing or whatever. They also have a packing tool, but it's not tightening, so we might have to quote that receiver. I'm gonna try one more time. I think I might have one more. I might have an actual packing tool in my van. See if I can loosen that and tighten that. If not, we'll take down this information and we'll make this part of our quote. All right, I'm gonna turn this guy back on, tighten everything up, and then this should get him through the night. We were back this morning. I came out. It's Saturday morning. I'm behind, so I came out to do this on a Saturday just to get it done. I'm gonna go ahead and start with recovering the refrigerant. We got a new receiver. We're gonna repipe. We got a new head pressure control valve, liquid line dryer, sight glass, and I picked up a new vibration eliminator for this line right here. So, all right, we're getting set up for recovery right now. We're hooked up to the high side and the low side on the compressor. Got the recovery machine, the scale. We're gonna zero out the scale. I dig how you can get the weight on the handle and you can get the weight on here. I like that because redundancy. That way, if something happens to either one or something like that, you've got the weight on both, so I dig that. All right, so we're gonna purge the system. So we're gonna open up the high side, and I left this loose. That way we've purged all the gas, and we've got clean, and this is already a recovered cylinder, so bam. Super easy to do it that way. All right, with that being said, scale zeroed out. We're gonna open this guy up right here. Let the system push in what it can just via the pressure in the system, and then I'll turn on the machine and let it run. We got to be careful not to let the machine run into a vacuum because the system has a leak, and I want to try to reuse this refrigerant. The fractionization, I'm not too worried about it with 404, so we're going to try to reuse what we can. Possibly. We'll see how it goes when all's done. All right, that's pretty much it. We're going to hit start. All right, we're good, and I'm gonna start prepping everything, sanding everything. Okay, I recovered right about 10 pounds. 10 pounds of gas, so we're gonna go ahead and take the recovery machine down and then start bringing up the materials. Before I cut anything open, I'm gonna bring up all the parts, the new receiver, make sure I have enough copper, because I don't wanna get in too deep and then realize something's wrong, you know? So I made a mistake, and I didn't have as much copper as I thought. That's going to be very close to do exactly what I want to do, so I may not be able to completely repipe this the way that I want to, but I'm going to try to do as much as possible, so it's going to be tight. I'm going to get in here and start demoing everything, just getting the receivers out, everything out, and then I'll start assembling it, get a nitro purge, and then we'll start brazing. I'm trying to leave the rack running as much as possible so everything doesn't come up in temp, but obviously I need to get in here and get my head going in here, and I'd rather not have it super close to the fan blade, so I shut it down temporarily. I'm gonna get in here and demo some stuff, and then I'll turn it back on, let everything run again, just kind of do it on and off a little bit here and there. I really don't understand, I didn't even realize this, why they didn't take this old receiver out. It's flange mount. It's got 4 screws holding it in. Seems kind of silly why they wouldn't have taken it out in the first place, the previous people. All right, I'm realizing that I'm not gonna have enough copper, like I said, to do what I want, but I'm just gonna eliminate the head pressure control valve. That was my initial plan, was taking it out of the picture because we really don't need it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I should have enough copper. So discharge line's gonna go straight into the top of the condenser. Liquid line comes out over there, goes into the receiver, comes out of the receiver, goes through the dryer, connects to the liquid line going downstairs. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy bent up right now. This is gonna be my discharge line going out. Got a giant mess going on, but we're all piped. So swaged over there into the receiver, coming out the back of the receiver, swaged right there. And then over here, we're swaged going up right there. And then coming into the vibration eliminator up into the compressor. So I'm gonna open everything up, get a nitrogen purge going, and we're gonna braze this guy up. We're gonna take some Nylog assembly lubricant, loosen up the flare nuts. I already put some on the dryer, so that's good. So essentially, you want to put a little bit right here where the flare touches on the bottom. So this bottom part, when it seals, is going to be all the way up here. Put a little bit right there, so that way it has a smooth surface to spin on. Just put a tiny bit on the threads right here and right here. Tighten them until they're snug with your fingers, and then we're going to torque them down. Now, before I go any further, I never tightened the nut on the bottom of the receiver, so I need to tighten that on real quick before we get too crazy on this guy. Go. So this bracket, I have them custom made. So we do a lot of receivers. Okay, now we're gonna torque these guys down. Do as I say, not as I do, and use a torque wrench. All right, the flare nuts are all torqued down. I need to put some screws in this guy, pull the evacuation, and hopefully get this guy started up, because I'm sure their walk-in's getting a little warm. I'm going to do a few things to secure some of the lines while I'm down there too. So going ahead and doing a nitrogen pressure test. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it's going to time it. I'm going to start taking some things down, getting the vacuum pump, leak detector, refrigerant. I got a giant mess up here I need to clean up. So we're going to let the tightness test run while I'm kind of cleaning up. Keep in mind, on these really hot days, these canopies really help. So it started off cool this morning, but by the afternoon it's supposed to hit 100, so this thing's good. You know, that way I'm protected from the sun. So we weren't holding pressure, so I went inspecting. We've lost 10 psi in 27 minutes. So I went inspecting everything, and look at that. We got a leak right on that guy. Now let's see if the packing is loose. See if that solves it. Tighten the packing just a little bit. Looks like that might have solved it. Definitely not bubbling like it was, so it's always got to be careful. Make sure that you have the caps on. It's best to have the caps on when you're pulling an evacuation. I was doing a pressure test, but yeah, everything else looks good. I soaked up all my joints over here too, nothing. So we're gonna go ahead and hook up the vacuum rig, release the nitrogen charge. All right, I got some straps holding the lines down. There's one on that. I put one on the back of the vibration absorber, so that way the vibration absorber hopefully doesn't shake the discharge line over here. I don't have a method to secure these yet. I need to figure something out here because we don't want it rubbing against this like it has. So I'll have to figure that out, but I did secure that line right there. All right, we're just pulling the evacuation. It's gonna be a while. It's like at 8,000 microns right now, so this is a pretty big system. So I'm probably gonna have to change the oil here in a few because it's looking pretty bad, but I'm gonna let it run a few more minutes. All right, we're gonna do a quick oil change, super easy on this pump. Just open this guy up, let it fill up, close it. You don't have to stop the vacuum at all. Pour the new oil in. Easy as that. Didn't even mess up the vacuum. I went ahead and front seated the king valve on the receiver, and in putting, this is almost an empty cylinder, so I let it suck the rest of this in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hook up my full cylinder and put as much as I can into the receiver while it's still pumped down. That way the refrigerant's just storing in there. And then once we get a little gas in there, we'll turn the breaker back on and let the refrigerant flow all the way back up. All right, we've got a bit of gas in there. I got the other cylinder on here now. I have the compressor contactor disconnected, but I have power turned on, so that way the solenoid valve downstairs is open. And what we're gonna do is go ahead and let the refrigerant flow through. We're gonna let it come up into the high side, and we're gonna do a leak check. And if that looks good, then we're gonna go ahead and start the system up and then finish charging it. Got a new Sporlan catch-all on there. Pressure control just kicked on. Looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and fire up the leak detector. Remember, when we charge this one, because there's no head pressure control valve, we're just gonna go for a clear sight glass now. All right, so this guy should fire up. It's warming up right now. And let's just hit all my braze joints and my flares to make sure there's no leaks. Looks good. Here. Good. Go back in here. There's a braze joint right down here. Nothing. And last but not least, right down there. Nothing. And we need to hit the back of this guy because there's a flare back here. Make sure there's no leaks on that flare. Looks good. Okay. I need to put some panels on and start this bad boy up. All right, we've got vapor in the sight glass. Probably hard to see, but it's just pure vapor. We're gonna go ahead and clear that bad boy up. Now, this unit's under a heavy load. The expansion valves are flooding. If we clear the sight glass when it's under a heavy load, theoretically you could put too much gas in there. But we have an oversized receiver now that does not use a winter charge, so it's not going to be a big deal if I go ahead and clear up the sight glass. So I'm going to keep putting gas in here. The head pressure was really starting to climb. It's even still high, but once I had to like put the panels on so that way it wasn't bypassing so much of the air. We are almost clear. Still flashing, but it's almost clear, I can tell. So you can see we're running 330 head right now, 125 degree condensing temp. It's about 99 degrees outside right now, so not looking too bad. All right, our system is fully charged. We're staying consistent with, I don't know, just under a 30 degree condensing temp over ambient, so at 30 degree TD. Sight glass is clear. Looking good on that. Everything's cool. I'm gonna let the system come down in temp a little bit more and just kind of monitor everything. We got a pretty large double coil walk-in. Looks like their thermometer says like 42 degrees. I'll get mine in here in a little while. And I did get someone out here and they went through and leak checked these evaporators and didn't find anything. Also had him clean them while he was in there, so. All right, I want to talk about the compressor superheat. On this system right now, I just finished a system repair. We're running 36 degrees compressor superheat. That's real time, so it's gonna change, okay? One of my evaporators is running 20 degrees superheat, and the other evaporator is running 17 degrees superheat, okay? The compressor superheat and both of the evaporator superheats all work together, okay? Along with proper insulation on your suction line. Now, this is foam tape. This is not proper insulation, but unfortunately, because of the way the manufacturer designed this system, I really can't get anything else but foam tape. It's better than nothing, okay, because there wasn't anything on there when I got here today. Now, I would imagine that we're running higher than normal compressor superheat. Not horrendous, okay? Typically 30 degrees is the highest you want to see, but I'm not going to freak out if we're at 35, 40, okay? But you got to look at a few things before you start going crazy. Look at this vibration eliminator. The vibration eliminator is not insulated, so that is basically absorbing heat, bringing my compressor superheat up. Now, how much? That's questionable, okay? But the moment that I start adjusting on my evaporator superheats, we are gonna change the compressor superheat. Okay, now both of my evaporator superheats are running a tail on the high side, especially since my system is at 34 degrees. My system is just about to satisfy right now, okay? I'm probably gonna go ahead and adjust both of those expansion valves just a little bit to try to reduce the superheat, okay? But remember, either way, adjusting the superheat, more superheat or less superheat, is adversely going to affect your compressor superheat. So keep that in mind. All right, we have one of my expansion valves right here, and we're gonna try to bring the superheat down, so we're gonna adjust it. So I adjusted it 4 quarter turns down. That's 1 full turn down, and we're gonna let the system stabilize out and see how it reacts. All right, so now that I made those adjustments, my compressor superheat's at 29 degrees right now, which is really good. I also brought the box temp up to about 37 because I propped the door open so that way it wouldn't satisfy. Looks like I have one evaporator that's at about 17 degrees right now, and I have one evaporator that's at about 14 degrees right now. So we're looking pretty good. I'm gonna let the system run a little bit longer, but I'm already extremely happy with that compressor superheat. All right, I made another adjustment, and I gotta say, I really dig the fact that Fieldpiece lets you do multiple superheats. So compressor superheat's 26, evaporator 1, 16, evaporator 2, 13. We're gonna give it a little bit more time to stabilize. Now it's really cool because with the Fieldpiece job link system, I'm able to wirelessly connect to the walk-in cooler evaporator that's below me right now, okay? I have the JL3 PC temp clamps on each evaporator, and that's how we're getting this measurement right here, okay, and this measurement. And then up here, I have Fieldpiece's new JL3 LC, large pipe clamp. This can go on up to 4 1/8 of an inch refrigeration line. Super awesome, super cool, instant reaction. You can see right now, here we go right here, we're at 28 degrees. So I open it up and we're gonna lose, but the moment that it makes contact with the rapid rail technology, we're gonna immediately see temperature, okay? All right, I just connected it back. Looks like we're at 29 degrees superheat, so it's instant readings. It's awesome, okay? So this system, I'm gonna go ahead and give it the all clear. Even though my evap superheat's just a tad high, I'm not gonna go cranking on it too much. I've already made some adjustments and I dropped it significantly, so I wanna let the system stabilize out.
Things don't always go as planned. I really wanted to repipe that in a way that I could put the head pressure control valve back in. In the end, when I was all done, it was questionable whether I would have had enough copper or not, but it was a Saturday and I really didn't want to go down the path of having to go open a supply house. That unit really doesn't need a head pressure control valve. I just like putting things back the way the manufacturer set them up, basically. But that rack essentially is meant, you know, they build these things kind of cookie cutter, and they're typically meant to work anywhere within the United States for the most part. So they can send them to the desert where we're at, where you can get extreme temperatures of 115, 120 degrees-ish, okay? It's questionable, too, though, whether this rack can really handle the 120. I think it does okay at 100, but anything over that, it starts to struggle. And they typically want them to be able to pull down to, like, -10. You know, they want to get the main extremes of the continental United States for the most part. So with that being said, they usually put oversized receivers, oversized condensers. Again, that one's questionable with this Masterbuilt rack because they do have some head pressure issues, but I digress. I'm going off on a tangent there. But and that's why they put the head pressure control valves in there, okay? You know, in a perfect world, the head pressure control valve definitely does help you. It helps to maintain the pressure differential across the expansion valve to make sure that the refrigerant's flowing through the valve at the proper rate at all points, so that way the valve can properly maintain the superheat. With that being said, if I ever run into a problem, I can definitely throw a head pressure control valve back into the system, but I really don't think I'm going to have an issue with it out here. So went ahead and repiped it. Again, you know, it's kind of confusing as to why people do the things that they do, like leaving that old receiver in there. That just seems silly. Like, it was super easy. 4 screws, 5/16 Tech screws, pulled that whole old receiver out. So why did the previous guy need to leave that in? I mean, honestly, I don't know. You guys say it. I don't want to say it, but that's pretty ridiculous. So I went ahead and redid everything, changed the receiver, you know, redid the vibration absorber. I will say, though, I didn't catch it on video. On the discharge line, okay, you guys saw that I put a vibration absorber in there. About 3 weeks later, I got another service call on that walk-in cooler. It was an emergency service call. I rushed out there, and the thing was completely out of refrigerant. And I was like, what the heck happened? You know, my gut dropped. What actually happened was there's a clamp on the outside of the discharge line, and that clamp was, in the way that it was attached, it actually cracked the discharge line. So the compressor has a slight vibration to it. Nothing that I'm too concerned about, but it was just enough in the way that I put that clamp down that it broke the discharge line from just the normal vibration of the compressor. It's kind of a trip. So I ended up having to take that clamp out, re-secure it, put a better clamp on there that had a little more flex to it, and recharge the system, and everything was good. You know what? I should say it wasn't completely flat, but it was damn near out of gas because I didn't even change the dryer because it was such a close time. I just fixed the leak, brazed it up real quick, evacuated it, and recharged because the dryer was still just in perfect shape. It was on the discharge line. Had it been on the suction line and it potentially pulled, you know, moisture or something into there, then I would have been a little bit more concerned and changed the dryer. But anyways, going off on a tangent again, stuff does happen, okay? I do get callbacks. I mean, it's normal. I wish I would have gotten it on film, but I didn't. So, but yeah, you know, I really, really appreciate you guys making it to the end of these videos. I say this all the time, but it is so crazy to see the comments that come through. I'd really appreciate it if you guys would consider supporting the channel. And what I mean by that, I don't need your money or anything like that, okay? I mean, if you guys choose to do so, there's a couple different ways you guys can support the channel. You guys can become a patron on Patreon. You guys can become a YouTube channel member. You guys can go to my website, hvacrvideos.com. I got merch available. You guys can go to truetechtools.com. If you're going to consider purchasing any tools, you guys can use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, to save 8% on your order, and I get a small commission when you guys do that. If you guys do know what tools you want to purchase from TrueTech Tools, shoot me an email and I'll generate an affiliate link that helps me out just a little bit more. A couple other ways you guys can support the channel too. The easiest way, without even spending any of your money, is to watch the commercials. I know it sucks, but just watch the commercials. Let YouTube pay me, okay? The other way is I'd really, really appreciate if you guys would share these videos. If you guys find them useful or anything like that, share them in groups, share them with your friends. Help to get the word out about the channel and help the channel to grow. Of course, I'm going to continue making these videos no matter what. I do enjoy it, but it is pretty time consuming. So it does kind of help, you know, when YouTube helps me with some AdSense, or, you know, when I get some affiliate commissions from TrueTech Tools and stuff like that. It definitely does help because on average, I spend 3 to 4 hours editing each video and doing other stuff. It's not just the editing, but it's about 3 to 4 hours per video that I spend in my office. So it really does help. But again, I really, really appreciate you all. You guys are awesome. Okay, keep in mind, I do live streams Monday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific, work permitting. Okay, as long as I can get off work. I've been doing a few more of the service call live streams, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn the notifications on, because if I do the service call live streams, then you guys will get the notifications, because I usually don't plan those ones. Those ones just happen. So hit the notification bell, turn that on. Also, I've been going live Friday evenings with my buddies over at the HVAC Overtime YouTube channel. HVACR North, Joe, A-Team Adam, Curious HVAC Guy, Bill, and myself. And we go live Friday evenings around 6:05 p.m. usually Pacific time. And we just kind of talk about the week, shoot the shit, hang out. It's usually like a fun show. We're usually messing with each other and stuff. So definitely come check that out. Go give the Overtime channel a subscription. Give me some feedback down in the bottom of this video. I really do appreciate the feedback, whether it be criticism or praise, whatever it is. I really do enjoy reading things, and I actually do benefit from criticism too, okay? As long as it's like, you know, legit criticism, I actually still learn from this stuff. And there's some things that you guys help me to make sure that I do too. So please leave me some feedback. I really do appreciate it. That's pretty much it. We will catch you guys on the next one.